Hello to all traders and welcome back to another market review brought to you by Orbex. So where do we go from here, especially with the commodity market after naturally having massive gaps on the market open today, seeing gold spike over $100 in value and oil hitting $75 for the first time in quite a few months. We've had also gaps on the Forex market as well in favor of the dollar in the beginning before reversing quite rapidly, but it's all about gold and the oil market because that's really ramping up a lot of traders opportunities. And as you can see here, we are in sight again for another record high, 5,400. We're just testing at the moment, so only a couple of $100 to go. But if you think we've already moved $100 so far this morning, or up until this afternoon, it's looking likely that we could hit some more fresh peaks along the way as well. We're seeing 5,200 as a bit of a psychological support, because we are seeing this massive overbought area on not only the RSI but a lot of the other stochastics, and the fact that President Trump said he's not going to stop until his objectives are met, even though he hasn't actually clearly set out what his objectives are. We'll have to wait and see when this conflict will end. He said roughly about 4 weeks, but it could be a lot longer, with Iran also obviously attacking back as well. So where do we go? As I said, 5,600 is the top. We just want to break this 5,400 first of all on a technical perspective, because that's where we're just kind of testing at the moment after this monumentous push. And actually from last Friday, when we were just under 5,200, it all started from then, ramping up from the early session to the late session on Friday. Even though there was no big fundamental news, there was this worry that the conflict could spiral out of control, and on Saturday morning obviously it did do so. This is the results now. And on oil, let's just take a quick look on that. I mean, look at the massive spike we've seen, massive gap in the market as well. The gap alone was like $2 or $3, and then oil has moved up roughly about $8 in the meantime before settling down and kind of giving up half of its gains, but still really elevated, really heightened, and not really looking to close the gap anytime soon. If we do have any looks that it will close, we could see a 67.50 at the beginning of the gap as a major support, a major area to break through. If it does start reversing quite significantly, then 62 is still our bottom. But at the moment, another test at 75 is not out of the question. It just depends on how talks go, if there are any talks. Just depends if anything else does happen in the meantime, and where do we go from here. So like I said, lots to digest, lots to think about. I just waited to see now if price action is going to start continuing to creep higher, especially on the oil markets. Even on Brent, it's looking quite significant. That same outlook really on Brent and on West Texas Intermediate, just the same kind of thing, looking likely that it will have another push higher. But in the meantime, as I said, intraday wise, we're just waiting to see now if we're having a bit of a slowdown, since the RSI on the oil market is very overbought, and we're just waiting now. As I said, all the headlines coming through thick and fast, and no slowing down at the moment. So thank you very much for joining me today. Trade responsibly in these times of uncertainty. Global risks always make the market fluctuate quite significantly, and we'll speak again next time. Bye for now.